Oh, yeah, like real men like my dad who have the same political beliefs but don't talk to women the way you do.
Yeah, whatever that means. But anyway, so
He's
a
watching
real
too.
man does X, right? Wouldn't you say that the social stigma around the fact that women can kind of get away with the same type of inappropriate touching without men reporting would greatly skew these numbers?
Yes, however, I think that women and men who are victims and are perpetrators as well, I think those are both underreported. I think across the board it's underreported, but more for male victims with female perpetrators.
Well, how many
So
more
I
for
suppose-
male victims?
I don't know.
But it could be.
It could be.
It could be drastic, right?
And I would hope not.
And if it is drastic, then it would skew your numbers on all of those percentages across the board.
Absolutely
wouldn't
it would. But the problem is we have no way of gathering that data. And with the data we do have, though, I see what you're saying about the stigma, but it is so vastly that women are victims and men are the perpetrators that I don't see that catching up in any percentage.
Why not? It depends on how underreported it is. In fact, a lot of these data sets draw from unreported incidences via estimates, don't they?
Unreported incidences via estimates.
Yes. So
I suppose, yeah. There's no way that they can actually gather that data. Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be the exact same thing, right? They're making a supposition based on an estimate. This would equally have to apply to men. But if the social stigma is there by your own admission that men are basically not reporting the instances of unwanted touching from women due to this social stigma, we don't actually know how bad that social stigma really is, do we?
No. And I mean, that's also what feminists, that's a great point, and I agree with you because feminists, that is one of, it's also my 60 seconds, right?
Well,
No?
we're having a back and forth now, so.
Oh, okay. Well, can I have 60 seconds? Because I would just like to talk a little bit about like
Well,
stigma.
we can't get into a back and forth and then like arbitrarily demand whole blocks.
Okay, well, I'm just going to give some statistics because I think we're on the same page here. I think we've actually found common ground. So the stigma around SA and abuse is what allows these numbers to be underreported. And so I think that because that's what feminists want is we want men to be comfortable coming forward as well because we want safety and equality for the sexes. That is what the definition of the term is the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the
Well,
sexes.
let me refute these lies because
Well, I think that some people don't believe that.
all national campaigns that I've seen hyper focus on women and the abuse of women, already making the supposition that men are the monsters and the criminals who are doing the unwanted touching and the essaying. And because of that, because this is done at a national level, at a state level, at a local level, and the organizations and NGOs are all hyper focusing on women, this stigma towards men is never addressed because women are only looking at it through the prism of women.
You know, it's not just women who are working on these studies, right? And who are writing these articles.
It doesn't
it's also
matter.
men.
Don't you say men can be feminists?
Yeah.
Okay,
but
so by your criteria, these men who have the same exact worldview as you, they're still hyper-focusing on feminism. And the idea always starts with the supposition that men are the more violent sex, that they are more often doing these types of SA, sexual assaults, things like this. And what do we end up with? We end up with very skewed numbers based on the criteria, right? Where within just a matter of minutes, we can determine that not only can most of this stuff be replicated, but we can also determine that just based on the viewed categorization of these things, they can't be true. These numbers can't be true.
Okay, now, so I don't understand where you're coming from with how it can't be true, how something can't be true, because again, if you're going off of something being underreported and the data not being there, you're saying, okay, well then this is true, which means this can't be true, which means this, and you're not even going from like actual data.
Do you want me to demonstrate it?
No, I'm okay. I'm talking for now, please.
Well, I'll demonstrate it real quick. So it would be like this.
No, I'm actually okay.
Are there?
I feel like you've dominated the conversation for the last few minutes. If that's okay, if I would like to.
Well, I thought you just wanted me to demonstrate for you something.
No, I'm actually okay on that. Thank you.
You don't want me to? You asked me a question. You don't want me to answer it?
No. I was actually in the middle of talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. No, like that was genuine. I wasn't trying to be rude.
I know. You're welcome.
Thanks. The
patriarchy's benevolent.
Yes. So I think that the 4 principles that is a common misconception. And if you want to refute these, like I would love that. Mm-hmm. But working to increase equality economically and politically for women, which again, not rooted in female supremacy, but some people think it is. Expanding human choice, meaning male, female, everyone. Eliminating gender stratification, which means, globally it's
Hang on, can we move back to 2?
Yes. Expanding human choice. And for everybody. And then 3, eliminating gender stratification. How like most of the power and money is concentrated to men globally. So sort of making the opportunities there for women. And again, like you have to think about this globally as well. Like we're very US centric, I think, in this debate, but there are definitely countries where women are really, really deprived of any sort of autonomy. And then the final one is ending sexual violence, which we've talked about quite a lot. So those are the 4 principles of feminism as we see it today. And although there are different places around the world, I guess we can focus sort of here and globally, if you have points on that, or if you just want to confine it to the U.S., then let me know. But.
Yeah, well, the U.S. is where I live. That's what I'm talking about. But
okay.
So when we're discussing this idea, especially of no, these numbers are accurate, that actually can't be true. You said no, it actually can be. Well, no, it can't be, because one, you've already admitted that there's a stigma towards reporting, which means that these numbers are already skewed right from the get-go. Here's a good demonstration of this. This is something you'll hear psychologists say a lot, and I'm sure you probably said it yourself, that mental illness probably has always been somewhat near as high as it is right now. It's just that it went underreported, right? That's something that you would say. Or there's just as many transgender people now as there were, or homosexuals. It's just that we didn't have the right numbers because they weren't able to report them correctly, right? Mm-hmm. So it follows then that if it is the case that under all of these circumstances, due to a lack of reporting due to stigma, we didn't have the correct numbers. And so you can suppose that into the data that you have right now for how many there's always been.
Right.
Why couldn't I do the exact same thing with SA numbers?
No, you can. But how are you going to get how are you going to get the figure that it is more? Are you saying it's more female perpetrators than male perpetrators?
If I look
how can you possibly get that
because
number?
If I look at the raw data and we look at stigmas, right? If we're looking,
we agree on stigma, but the data, how do you have that?
Because the data is not taking into account the stigma towards male reporting.
But it is. But I'm saying there are no reported cases.
Yeah, you can't.
It's not. You're right.
How do you report the cases if the stigma is there for them to not report?
So yes, given that, how do we come up with any? Because these other places, they come up with estimates, these studies that you just cited. So how do we come up with an estimate for female perpetrators?
Whether we come up with the estimate or not, we have good reason to doubt the various estimates by RAINN and these other sexual advocacy organizations, especially when I look at the NIS. Because when I look at the NIS, I get totally different numbers, and it's way more comprehensive. It's the largest, most comprehensive data set on planet Earth is the NIS, and that's what it shows. It shows that women are far more likely to abuse their children than men. When women are in positions of dominant power and authority over weaker people than themselves, they're more likely to abuse almost every time. This is also included in healthcare stats. When they are in charge of people who are weaker than them in healthcare situations, they abuse far more than men do.
You keep talking about the NIS, which specific, are you talking about the national, because the specific study that you're talking about, how women are perpetrators more frequently, genuinely cannot find it anywhere on the internet.
Okay, I'll pull up the exact study if you give me just a second.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because I'm looking at the Bureau of Justice statistics and the FBI,
so you can
and
find this from the U.S.
Even the CDC talks about it. You can find this
from the U.S. Department of Justice. Sexual victimization in juvenile facilities reported by youth 2012.
Okay. And is this where you're saying that
these are all comprehensive? These are all comprehensively included inside of the NIS. This is what I'm saying is that I have each individual study ready for you. You can look also, and we can move to this as well if you want to.
Wait, so is this the one where you're saying that female perpetrators are more frequent? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. That's from the National Incident Study.
Oh, National Incident Study.
Yes.
Okay.
The largest collection of all types of reported data related to abuse, maltreatment of children. 68% of maltreated children were maltreated by a female, 48% maltreated by a male. In every circumstance, the NIS finds that when women are put in charge of people who are weaker than themselves are more likely to abuse than the stronger sex, that being men. And what's interesting about this is it gives us every reason to believe that if women had the exact same frame and build as men did, that men that they would actually abuse far more often than men do them, right? So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a huge problem where women who are supposedly being abused by men are doing a whole lot of abuse which is going unreported of children while you're focusing on the scapegoat of men.
Yeah, I don't doubt that women are, unfortunately, a lot of women are abusing children, but the study that you're saying, the only thing that I'm able to find is that 1 in every 25 children in the U.S. experience maltreatment. Neglect is more prevalent than abuse. And then they talk about how for the 4% of children that experience genuine maltreatment and in danger of death. But I'm not seeing anything. It says, girls were sexually abused much more often than boys under the harm standard and endangerment standard, with male perpetrators being more common. That's all I was able to find.
Okay. Would you like for me to actually link it to you? That was just from the juvenile facility study, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what about the NIS data? The NIS data is going to be the most important because it's the most comprehensive collection of it.
It's funny because you keep repeating this talking point about a study that I can't find.
Well, how do you?
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but
so you think that the National Incident Study is not reporting this? Like I can link it to you.
No, I believe it. I'm just saying, like, there are so many more common sources that have different numbers talking about how male perpetrators are more common than the study that you're talking about. Because I genuinely,
I got a little more for you. The U.S. Department.
Can you airdrop it to me?
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has been tracking the data on child abuse and neglect since 1978 with something called the National Incident Study (NIS). The National Incident Study is a congressionally mandated periodic effort of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. There have been 4 such reports, the latest being the NIS-4, which came out 2010. This includes the breakdown. The NIS gathers data from all reporting agencies and any study will pull from these agencies because it's the congressional authority which is gathering that data. The methodology, the NIS uses a standard definitional framework for classifying child maltreatment, including both types of abuse and neglect. These are the legitimate numbers, and feminists have been hiding them under a rock because they don't want to talk about this issue.
I think that is an interesting theory. I think that a lot of the things that you're talking about go more into theory than into fact. And that's okay. I think that goes into what I'm saying is like, just generally, that's why I'm here, is to debunk a lot of the myths.
Well, you're going to debunk that myth.
Well, again, you said you would send me the study. Cannot find the study that women are more likely to be perpetrators. It doesn't, I genuinely cannot find a single thing. I've been looking for 5-10 minutes.
You've been looking for what? Have you been looking on NIS?
I literally looked at exactly what you said, cannot find the numbers.
It's okay.
Now, because this is not trying to be like an appeal to like authority, but I've done like debate my whole life. And like, obviously, like most of the time we tend to focus on the facts. So to me, if I can't understand the facts, that they don't exist of where I'm finding it, that is a problem for me. Okay, I saw that. It didn't say the numbers that you were talking about.
Yes, it has them. This is from.
Scroll down.
No way
Scroll
you
down
read.
so I can read it.
How in the world?
I was just on that website and it did not say that female perpetrators are more common.
Did you read that entire thing in 2 minutes? That is nonsense. It is huge. There is no possible way you went through those numbers.
I'm a fast reader. I read like
that is the biggest
300 books a year.
That is the biggest crock. There is no possible way you went through that in 2 minutes. It is massive.
Okay, you can think that. It's okay.
What do you mean think that? That is not humanly possible. Do you have magic powers that I'm unaware of?
I don't know.
You're pretty smart. What? Oh, come on. At least be honest in the debate. I mean, you could just say I didn't read it. You say I couldn't find the numbers that you're citing. There's no possible way you looked at that.
The numbers that you're talking about, they
don't exist.
Female perpetrators are not more common than male perpetrators. So, like, again, I would prefer that we would stick to actual reality and facts.
These are the actual realities and facts. I just showed you the study, right? The most likely reason why women are more likely to abuse than men, other than the fact they're not being used, checked on using force, is the UK's leading mental health charity. The Mental Health Foundation says that today, women are 3 times more likely than men to experience common mental health problems as well. Do you want to go over that?
About how men are more likely to experience mental health issues?
No, women are more likely to experience mental health issues.
What is your point? Yes.
Than men.
Well, what's your point?
Well, how is feminism combating this?
I would hope that we can continue to do a better job. I mean, there's a lot of people that I know that really struggle with their mental health, and a lot of, we don't have to get too deep into it, but I know that a lot of women who have experienced some abuse sexually at the hands of a man, and then that led them to have mental health issues. I also know men.
More than soldiers have PTSD?
No. PTSD is certainly an issue, but you can get PTSD from a number of things. Mm-hmm. So I would like to point out that like just saying one thing doesn't negate the other, right? So like just because I think it's important to talk about women's mental health doesn't mean men's mental health isn't important, because again, they are more likely to like